wrestling dad. Most of the time, they get a bad reputation. It's too bad the rest of the wrestling dads can't be like our guest here today. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
Jason Moore, girls wrestling coach at the Walton-Verona and dad of Ryan Spencer and Emma Moore.
And the wrestling community, I would say from Fulton County to Phelps, from Newport to Wayne County, they they know the name Jason Moore, whether seeing you at tournaments, state tournaments, taking their kids to a off-season meet, a travel team coming to a camp, you being there at the camp, whether instructing or whatever. You're one of the you're on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling people in the state of Kentucky for all your contributions, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But for those that don't know, tell us how you get into wrestling.
Oh goodness, I've actually thought a lot about this story because I've tried to figure out how Josh Ashbrook is getting so many darn kids on the Harrison County boys and girls team. And I think one of his secrets I'm going to give out was actually how I got started wrestling. His dad, Rick, was an amazing coach, started the program in Harrison County, but he was our middle school gym teacher. And he actually ran a 6-8 week segment in gym class where we split up into dual teams and had duels. And so he taught us wrestling in gym class. And so that was, as a 7th and 8th grader, I had a little bit of exposure and said, I've got to do this in high school. And so that was it.
And I mean, we'll cut this. We'll make sure that everybody but Josh can hear this. But to hear George Wells talk or Jackson Wells and George Dennis talk is Josh pretty much goes through the hallway, him being the assistant principal, and he just starts pointing at you want to wrestle or you want to go to detention. It's your choice. And I think that's the secret why they have pretty much the entire school. Sometimes it feels like it takes an hour to weigh Harrison County, and you see George back there somewhere. You see Jackson, like, where is it? What? How many buses did you guys bring to this meet? You had to bring 5 buses to get all these kids weighed in. But you wrestled at Harrison County. I believe you graduated 1992, if memory serves. Actually, I looked it up. I already knew that. I wanted to make sure that we were on the same page here. Now, as always, we go over everybody's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Make sure Josh can hear this. The best wrestling team ever at Harrison County, 1992.
And I actually had that in my notes. 1991. This is talking about the state tournament. 1991, 112 pounds. You're a junior. You run into Greg Woodring, I believe, in the consies, and Greg wins a 2-0 decision on you. Of course, Greg goes on. 1994, 119-pound state champion. He beat Joe Carr Jr. And I didn't realize this, and I don't think you said it. I could be mistaken, but I think we watched Greg's video against Joe, the match video there at your house that day. Is that am I remembering that right?
I don't remember watching that.
Because I know I showed you Miguel Merritt's and somebody else. And for some reason, I was like, I feel bad if I walked into his house and showed him the guy that beat him, in 90. And I was like, man, I talked about feeling bad.
But, no, I still remember that match with Greg like it was yesterday. If you look up earlier in the bracket, I'd lost in the quarters, and I'd broken my hand the very first round of the tournament. And it was down at Atherton. I ran to after we got finished the first day, we went up to the ER and they did an X-ray and said, yeah, it's broken. And I was like, well, I'll be back tomorrow to get a cast on it. And came back, wrestled that match against Greg, and he had it all wrapped up. He squeezed and squeezed on that thing. I don't know if he did any wrestling moves except squeeze my hand, but I had no chance against him.
Yeah.
Definitely remember that one.
I'm sure whenever I post this, he'll comment on that. Um, hey, I don't, Greg, my kind of guy right there, buddy. Especially back in the '90s. You guys were a different type of beast back then. That's what. In watching the videos, of course, nowadays it's more scrambling. I'm not saying that the wrestlers aren't strong. That's not a cause weight training and all that. But it just seemed like back in the '80s and '90s, you guys were just look tougher. You know what I'm saying? Just look like
Yes,
this
a different
looked
toughness.
this,
Yeah.
and I used the Bruce step. Bruce looked like he was 35 out there. You know what I'm saying? And one of the best heavyweights ever just come through the state. But he just had that's the early '90s. Him and Willie Ennels just had that look about them, like we're tough, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
man,
right.
1992, 112 pounds as a senior. You come in third place, and like you said, best finish in Harrison County's history. Team fourth place. Our your buddy, I should say, friend of the channel, Roy Gibbs, 130-pound state champion. That review video's on the channel. But let's talk about real quick your state tournament, your matches. You win a fall over Brian Anderson from Connor. It doesn't have the time, it just has fall. This is the match I wanted to talk about. Quarterfinals, Eric Goatley from Trinity wins a 6-2 decision on you. So, I mean, you guys will understand why we're bringing this up here just in a minute. But when you kind of get knocked off there, knowing that you could still do a lot for your team, still score some points. You still got Roy, you still got Eric in the Eric Dingus in the winners flight, their winners bracket. Does it set in? Okay, I need to suck this up and help my team, or how did it go for you?
Oh man, it was probably one of the toughest. Definitely as a kid, one of the toughest moments I can ever remember. I came to win. That was I mentioned my broken hand my junior year. I thought I could have won that bracket.
Mm.
My sophomore year, I missed weight at region. Thought I could have won that year. So I came in as a senior expecting to win. That was it. And one of the big lessons I learned was about weight cutting. I cut way too much weight, killed myself. And I can remember my mom trying to get me to eat before that quarterfinal match. I didn't want to eat. I was afraid I was going to be too heavy. And man, it kind of makes me sad to this day. She forgot to bring, I always had bananas, and she forgot to bring bananas. And so I didn't get a banana. I would have eaten a banana. I was like, hey, I'll like a banana. But she was like, oh, I forgot the bananas today. And then I'd wrestled Eric probably 5 or 6 times that season and always beat him. It was always a good match, but I beat him every time we'd wrestled and just didn't have anything in that match. And so my mom kind of she felt bad. She thought she cost me the match by not having those magic bananas, but it was, too much weight cut. And I still remember he caught me in a Peterson, got 5 points off of it, and that was pretty much the match. And went back to the hotel, and my wife was our stat girl. We were dating at the time, obviously not married, but she was our stat girl. So we're back at the Holodome hanging out, and I just said, I'm not even gonna weigh in tomorrow. I'm done. I was ready just to throw in the towel and quit. I didn't come to get third.
Yeah.
And so we set out in the hallway, I don't know, till at least 2 or 3 in the morning for her to convince me to, you know what, you're going to suck it up and you're going to go in there and wrestle. And I did. And it was tough. If you look at the bracket, I remember wrestling like probably Morgan Chapman.
Well, I've got it here. I've got you wrestled Bobby Caruso from Central Hardin in the, I guess that would be what, the second or third round of consolations. When that by fall, you beat Morgan Chapman by a 5-2 decision from Woodford County. You get to I guess back then it would be the blood round. You win a 2-1 decision over, I'm going to butcher this name, Gamal Salash
Jamal Shalash, yep, from Tate's
from
Creek.
Tate's Creek. You won a 2-1 decision. And wouldn't you know it, you get to the third and fourth place match, and guess who you're wrestling? Eric Goatley from Trinity.
Yeah,
And
and I had wrestled Morgan and Jamal. I mean, they were in our district, and I probably wrestled those guys 10 or 12 times and beat them handily. Um, but you just tell I didn't have that same umph and was getting by. Um, but yeah, and was very excited for that rematch in third and fourth.
yeah, oh yeah, I can imagine. Of course, you win an 11-3 decision. Uh, did you have a banana before the match?
I'm sure I did. I probably weighed 140 pounds.
No, I get it. I get it, man. And to the youngsters that are going to watch this, take it from somebody that's been there. Just because, yeah, you may fall short of your goal, your state. Nobody prepares to lose. Nobody prepares like there. I cannot remember the coach's name. I saw on the NCAA tournament this past year for basketball. They were showing clips of teams getting beat and coaches giving speeches, and one of the analysts said, "That's something as a coach you never prepare to get beat. You never prepare for defeat. You never want to concede going into a game that this is it, no matter who you're playing." And same thing in wrestling. I mean, you may get beat, but like Jason done, suck it up, get back out there the next day if you make it to the next day of the tournament or whatever it is, and do your best. Do your best. Never quit on yourself, right?
Definitely,
And
definitely.
the of course, Roy went on to be a state champion. Like I said, that video is on the channel. And Harrison County had a run there of Kevin Case, a state champion in '96. Adam Northcutt was in the finals. I know our buddy, good friend of the channel, Patrick McNutt, the biggest Michigan fan you'll find, said that. No, I'm kidding, Patrick. I'm kidding. Don't come to my house and those are fighting words. But he said that Dingus and Russ Regal would use the Adam Northcutt match from '96 as an example of why you push the pace. Was you helping? Was you coaching Harrison County then? Do you remember that?
I was not. I was not around then. I lived at 96. I was just finishing up college.
Okay. Well, he wrestled Adam Northcutt. That is, he wrestled Scott Rhodes from Sheldon Clark. And Patrick had said he'd never seen the match. He'd heard about it a million times up until we done Scott's review video. So I'll have to make sure to send you the match video on that review video. But after high school, do you go to college and wrestle?
I did not. I actually, my initial plan was to go to Ohio State. I'd already been accepted. Had talked to Ken Cherito a little bit. He was an assistant up there at the time. And I was going to go up there and wrestle. And after what I felt like was 4 years of bad luck, I said, you know what? I don't want to have anything to do with wrestling ever again. And kind of walked away. Went to EKU. Had a good college experience there, but didn't want to have anything to do with wrestling again. Until my youngest brother, who's Brian Wasson, he's got a couple boys into wrestling now at Harrison County. And when he got old enough to start wrestling, that he sucked me back in. I've been going ever since.
That's the way it usually goes, man. That's the way it usually goes. Now, most people know you for your website, KentuckyWrestling.com, and the rankings. And you give the sworn statement under oath, if you will, of how you started that, because I've heard everything in the world about how you got that started. So kind of set the record straight. How do you start the website? How do you start the rankings? What was the idea behind that?
The I don't know how the website started. Actually, Billy Clark down at Sheldon
Yep.
Clark, right?
Okay.
He started the website.
Didn't
Um,
know that.
and yeah, he originally did it, got it going. And um, when my youngest brother Brian started wrestling, he was coming through. He was a darn good wrestler. Um, and as he was starting, I was coaching. I first got into coaching, and I was at Kentucky Country Day down in Louisville, is where I was coaching at. And Coach Coombs, Phil Coombs at Eastern, was the president of the Coaches Association. And they used to do a couple sets of rankings throughout the year. He would just solicit feedback from coaches, say, "Hey, send me a message." Back then, probably were people sending letters.
Yeah.
uh, maybe the start of some emails, and just say, "Hey, my kid at 112 pounds is really good. He beat this guy, this guy, this guy, and he should be ranked." And Coach Coombs would put the rankings together, and they'd usually come out first time you'd see them at the Woodford County Invitational is what I remember. And back then, as a new coach that not many people knew at a small program like KCD, I didn't really have any kids that were worthy of ranking, but my brother was doing really well. And so I'd send in, "Hey, you need to rank this kid. He's really good." And I thought it might even get like some extra attention because I'm not pumping up my own kid. It's somebody
Yeah.
from a different school, and it got completely ignored. And so then I submitted again. The next set of rankings come out, nothing. And so I started getting frustrated because I was like, all right, I think, and you could see it. I'm sure most of the responses were from people that knew Coach Coombs, around the Louisville area. And so you'd see tons of Louisville kids in the rankings. And I'm sure if I could have Coach Matney sitting next to me, he'd probably have some complaints as well. He didn't get much love for the Eastern Kentucky folks.
Yeah.
Um, and so I got frustrated. And I said, you know what? This is not good. I'm gonna do a better job. And so I was determined to do such a good job that I would put Coach Coombs out of business. And so that was kind of my goal. And so and it was amazing how quickly, I was doing things like digging in, pulling up newspaper articles from newspaper in Wayne County or out in Western Kentucky. What's the one down in E-Town, the News Enterprise or something? They did a great job of always having wrestling results. And so I'm just scouring newspapers to try to keep up with every result possible and do the rankings so good that, like I said, that the Coach Association just give up because they knew they were not doing as good of a job. And I think that eventually happened for too long. And then
What
just over the
year was
years, there's
this,
been
Jason? What year did you start this? Like your actual
um,
published rankings?
that would have been in, let's see, it's probably right around 2000,
Okay.
98 to 2000, right in that range. Yeah. Um,
Now, I
yes, I
could
started.
be totally
Yeah.
spacing on this, but did Gary Cantor help you as well with that, or is that something?
He, he definitely gave me some information. So I realized pretty quickly if I could make some, there's so many teams like, I'm sitting here at the time I was in Louisville, but I didn't have any contacts in Eastern Kentucky. I didn't have any contacts in Western Kentucky, different parts of the state that I didn't know anything about teams. And so I started making some good contacts. And so he's one. I'm just going brain dead. Carson. Oh, I can't remember Carson's last name. He wrestled at Union County. Um, has been amazing over the years, getting me Western Kentucky information. I've had a few Johnson Central folks who've done a good job of keeping me up to date with what's going on out that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's been amazing the really good feedback I've gotten over the years from coaches, fans, tons of people.
The only reason I think for some reason Gary Cantor's sticking out is I do not remember who when 400, almost 400 review videos, certain things kind of start running together. But for some reason, I was thinking that somebody mentioned that Gary Cantor, like I said, was helping you with rankings or something to that effect. I could be totally wrong on that. It
Yeah,
happened.
he definitely shared a lot of information. There's just so much a duel on a Wednesday night that you don't it's back then you just didn't have track keeping track of all the results, and so um, there were a lot of good people like that were instrumental in making it be good.
And I can tell you, I don't know if you've got to watch. I mean, I would be impressed with anybody that's watched every single review video that we've done. But the number of guys that have said that they looked at their ranking and saw they were number 4 when they should have been number 2. They was like, "Oh God, that fired me up. I just wanted to get out there and rip somebody's head off." And I'm like, that's great motivation. You know what I'm saying? You think I'm number 4? So I was like, man, whenever I do one, because we've been talking about doing this for a while, I was like, I've got to bring that up about, somebody being ranked maybe a little bit lower than what they should have been, or the record wasn't as good as what it was. Like, no, I beat that dude 3 times at the same tournament. And so, like I said, you gave a lot of people a lot of motivation, whether you realized it or not, over the years. So I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah,
look back in hindsight and say, thank you, Jason, for lighting a fire under me.
yeah. I tried to keep it really under the radar and anonymous for a long time, and was pretty successful at it. And I still kind of remember the day I was an assistant. We moved to Northern Kentucky, so this would have been I don't know, in the 2008 or 9 range, somewhere around there. We moved up to Northern Kentucky, and I was assistant for Coach Bancamper over at Campbell County. And I'd taken our JV team to a tournament somewhere, and we had a couple of varsity guys that were coming back from injury, and so they were wrestling with us. And at that point, nobody knew that I was the one doing the rankings. And I feel like at that point, I was harder on some of the kids that I knew. And I think it was almost like a reverse psychology. I didn't want to give them benefit and somebody find out, oh, well, you just ranked that kid there because it was a Campbell County kid, or it was, some one of your buddies. And so I tended to be harder on those guys, would not give them the benefit of the doubt. And so I'm still like it's yesterday. I'm down on the mat coaching somebody, and 2 kids sitting behind me, and they're like, as I'm coaching a match, one of the Campbell County kids calls me Ranger. And I was like, it took a second, and I was like, oh no. Like, they know. And so I had to think about all the ramifications. Like, now every time I rank this kid, they're going to know, and I had to think about how kids are going to process it, especially the kids that I know. And then, eventually my own kids, how they're going to process, how I look at them in the rankings.
And you led perfectly into a topic that I definitely want your expertise on, to talk to the incoming, or I should say incoming, newer parents and guardians to the sport. We had Dr. Brian Dwyer do a video when I first started doing the rules about what to expect and all that. That's a little bit different of a video, but from your perspective, and of course, for those that don't know, Ryan Moore, I believe, your oldest, right?
Yes.
I was going to say, Ryan, two-time state champion, 2017, 126 pounds, 2018, 132, went to Cornell University. Cornell wrestled with some guy named Yanni Giacomahalis. Hope you've heard, I think his wrestling career turned out all right. Then he went back to come back to Thomas More. He was in the NAIA National Championship 3 times, 2021, 141 pounds, 2022 and 2023 at 149, but all 3 times come in, like I said, runner up. Then 2024, man, he finally broke through, national champion at 149 in the NCWA Championship. Spencer, 2020, 106 pounds, 2021, 120. And I believe Spencer, I think he was ranked, what, sixth in the country? Is that right?
He got up as high as fourth.
Fourth? Okay. All right. Then, of course, he went to University of North Carolina, was there, made it to the NCAA Division I national tournament this year, this being April 2025, made it to the second day. And he has recently transferred to Illinois. He's going to be in Illini, so I got to buy an Illini wrestling shirt now. And of course, Emma's two review videos are on the channel. Two-time state champion. She's got one more swing at the plate, but 100 pounds. And I believe Mia is the little gymnast. Any chance she gets into it?
No, gymnastics full-time job, so I
I
think
got
that's going to
you.
be it for her, just gymnastics.
I understand that.
But
Now,
if you ask Spencer, and probably other kids would agree, but I know Spencer has been pretty outspoken about this, that Mia is the best athlete in the family.
I was going to say I've heard the stories about her that she's the next what was the young lady's name from the '90s, Dominique Dawes. I mean, just all these gymnastics legends that we're going to be seeing here. That she's going to be what, wrestling? No, come on, get out of here, right? So your kids are Kentucky wrestling legends. I mean, they truly are, and it's all from, I don't say all because that's a big word, but I mean, your dad. They get a lot of it from you. I'm sure other people, camps and all that, but they get a lot of it from you. And as we see the Kentucky Extreme Wrestling banner behind you, the weight chart, the names, to the newer wrestling parents, the newer wrestling guardians, even the newer wrestling coaches, people wanting to start a club team or a travel team or whatever that really don't have much experience, but their kids are getting into it. Walk us through getting your kids into wrestling, not necessarily your specific kids, but newer kids to the sport that didn't grow up in a household where dad wrestled or somebody in the family wrestled. What advice do you want to pass out to those that maybe didn't get to grow up in a wrestling household?
Well, maybe I'll kind of mesh those two together, both my kids and other kids. But
Okay.
I think, and this is easier said than done sometimes, because too many times as parents we get all excited, especially when we see kids have some talent and ability, and we want to push really hard. But one of the things I tried to do a lot with the boys, and to some extent have continued with Emma, is really find out what their expectations are and what they want to get out of it. I can remember early on Ryan being the first one that I'm kind of nudging in the direction of getting serious in this sport, and we were at Campbell County, and he had some best friends and partners that were amazing wrestlers that you've probably done videos with, Brady Wells and Tanner Yenter, and we essentially lived with those guys, and they were kicking his butt on a daily basis. And he essentially told me, he said, I'll practice every day of the week, but I don't want to go to tournaments, because he went to tournaments. He was not very good. He didn't like getting his butt kicked. We spent a lot of time over in Ohio, and those tournaments were rough. And so he was up front and was like, you know what? I don't want to compete. And so we cut back on competition. And he just worked really hard. And then it's like, all right, you're around these guys that are having success. What do you want to do? And so he got to the point where he's like, all right, I want to be better. I want to start competing like Brady and Tanner and those guys and start winning. And so that's one of the ways I think that was really successful for us, is letting them drive the level of intensity and the commitment. And so I still remember driving up to Jeff Jordan's in the summer and giving Spencer and Ryan both a little notebook and say, you tell me what your goals are. And then that will kind of set the tone for what my expectations are going to be for you. And so at the point they're both saying we want to be state champs, and it's easy for me to come back and say, okay, you realize what that means. And so now when I'm pushing you, we need to do these extra workouts. We've got to be lifting. We've got to get some extra runs in and do all this stuff. That you are the one that you've signed up for this. Once you put down that's your goal, you have to put in the work to meet that goal. And I'm gonna do everything I can to help you get there. But you can't be mad at me when I'm pushing you because you've said that's what you want to do. And so, and then to kind of maybe turn that towards some other kids that, you're coaching, or you have a kid that just wants to be on the team, then it's definitely a different perspective and a different approach. And as you were talking to Emma, talking about having a little bit of fun, especially when we're doing practice 12 months a year. It can't be just a complete grind every single day.
That's a fact.
And so you got that kid that just wants to participate in wrestling. You know what? They don't need to be in that high intensity environment all the time. They need to have maybe a little more on the fun side. And so I think that's a big part. Is sometimes we've got to step back, and as much as we might see that, my kid has a ton of potential. They could be great. They could be a state champion, but if they don't want to, most of the time you're not gonna get them there dragging, kicking, and screaming. They've got to want to do it.
And man, that is excellent advice. And like I said, if anybody I would say is as close to an expert or somebody that you would really want to take advice from, it's you. I mean, you really can't get much better as far as your kids being involved, you as much as you do with the sport, as much travel, having practices on your own time behind your house in the barn, all that. I mean, just take Jason's advice to heart. And a few things that I'd been kind of working on, something over the years that I'd seen too, is, and a couple of them you hit on, that I want to kind of give every people my perspective from the referee side, is if your team, your club, your whoever you wrestle for, your school, they only provide a singlet and your youngster isn't comfortable wearing a singlet, the two-piece compression shirt and the fight shorts, board shorts, MMA style shorts, that is an acceptable uniform. That is an acceptable wrestling uniform. So, I mean, not everybody's comfortable wearing a singlet. I get it. It took me a while to warm up to it. It takes some people a while to warm up to it. So as long as it's matching team colors of what your club or your school or whatever it may be, try that. Try the Under Armour, the compression style shirt, and the shorts just to see how it works for them. They still may not be comfortable. Okay, at least you made an effort, and that's a legal uniform. Boys, especially younger boys, even middle school age boys, they're not comfortable, or some of them don't seem to be comfortable wrestling girls. And I can totally understand that. So if you go to a tournament and there's going to be some girls in the bracket, hey, listen, we're going to forfeit, or we're not going to wrestle these round robins with girls. Put us in a heavier bracket or something to that effect. We can get more matches, because you don't want to. I know my sister was 6 years younger than me, and I wrestled her all the time. And all I heard from mom and dad and everybody, you're going to hurt her. You're stop it. And boys kind of get the same thing, especially when they're younger. Is don't hurt your sister, don't hurt so and so. Be easy. If you want to wrestle boys, that's fine. Girls, if you're not comfortable wrestling a boy, you may have to maybe go. I don't want to say go up for the season, but maybe wrestle somebody that's in a couple classes higher. Maybe coaches get together. Hey, my girl weighs 74, my girl weighs 68. What do you think if we just let them exhibition a few times? Don't make it something to where it's a big deal. And to the parents and the guardians, I understand everybody wants to win, but especially if you don't have experience wrestling or coaching, there's no reason to be on the side of the mat yelling at your kids in elementary and middle school if it's their first or second season of actually getting to compete. The only thing you should really be saying to them is have fun, do your best, and no matter if they win or lose, I'm proud of you. You look good out there. We got a few things to work on. You did great. I'm proud of you. I'm coach showed you this move. You tried it. You didn't get it. Hey, we'll get it next time. You shouldn't be on the mat yelling, cussing, screaming. I can tell you, I will eject a parent quicker for yelling at their own kid than I will just about anything. If you're yelling or cussing at your kid on the side of the mat at elementary or middle school meet, you're going to have to go to your vehicle because it is not going to happen. I absolutely will not. And I've done it. I've told school administration, hey, the dude over there in the blue jacket, he's got to go. That is not the type of behavior we're going to have here. And I wish more referees and more administrators and coaches would take that stance. Hey, we're letting the kids have fun. Cal Sanderson is not there signing scholarships. This is not the horse park. This is not the state championship. So
yeah, as many times as people say that, it's just I don't know why parents can't process that thought that when they're 6, 7, 8 years old that's not at the time it might feel like it's in the world, but man, there's so much more to go. And like I just talked about, Ryan was not very good. He was so lucky. If he was able to get third or fourth at youth state, he had a heck of a year. But he was able to stick with it, and he wanted to keep working because I think he was getting enough good positive feedback from what he was doing. And, just you see the development. Even maybe a bigger example, Dalton Mayer.
Yeah.
Up to the point where his freshman, sophomore year, I would say he was not a very good wrestler. Definitely as a freshman. He was not good. But man, that kid was in here in the barn putting in. We have one of these over to the side here. Let's see if I can turn my camera. These Adam on the wall, and Dalton would show up at practice 30 minutes early and do 100 shots on Adam. Stay after, do 100 shots, and he just kept working and just boom. I mean, now Division I wrestler, pinning dudes left and right. And he probably has very few, if any, medals up through like a lot of his middle school years because he was definitely not the kid that you see now.
Yeah, and of course Dalton, he's still not a good wrestler. He's still pretty weak, even though he did go on to Bellarmine and all this. Thomas More, All American. I call him Lex Luger. You know what I mean? He has that 1980s hair and the build. I went to his house that first time. I was like, is Lex Luger doing an autograph signing today? What are we doing here? So, Dalton's a buddy of ours. Actually, I found a Lex Luger action figure just randomly at a is a yard sale, I believe it was. And we went down to the Bellarmine, Iowa duel, and I was going to give it to him. And of course, he got beat there in that duel. And I was like, now may not be the best time to give it to him. So I've still got it. Dalton, when I see you, man, I'm going to give you that Lex Luger action figure. That way you can have it because that's how I think about you, man. Now, you talk about.
I think you'll have to get another make it to another Bellarmine duel. I think he's getting an extra year.
Is he really?
I think so.
What, is he trying to be a doctor or something? This is what, his 19th year of school?
Uh-huh.
I'll definitely have to come down next year. It was fun. Ned Shuck and Bellarmine University, all that, they done an excellent job. I mean, that was awesome to get to see Iowa come to Bellarmine and have a duel there. And it was just great. It was cool to see. And you are the king of the barn. So we've heard a lot of people from Northern Kentucky, a lot of people from across the state that are state champions. I would say 2018, 2019, something like that forward. Talk about coming to the barn. So tell us, give us the story. How do you start the barn?
Well, probably the very, very beginnings of the idea go back to if anybody watching is bored scanning through YouTube videos, if you look up camel wrestling workout, CAMEL, camel wrestling workout. I posted a few videos back when Ryan and Brady and Tanner were just little guys. And I would take those kids to the football stadium at Campbell County and just torture them. I put a weight vest on them, make them run the stadium. I'd fill a wheelbarrow up with concrete blocks, and they're pushing it and flipping tractor tires and all sorts of stuff. And so that was kind of the beginning of getting kids to just do hard extra work. And then when it moved over to Walton, Brandon Cornett, who's Mason Smith, his stepdad, had a little barn right outside his place, and Ryan and Blake Roth and Mason were going through middle school, and we started getting doing some Team Kentucky workouts for a middle school Team Kentucky, and so we started getting kids from all around the state to come up and work out, and I started to realize pretty quick, especially from times going up, I mentioned earlier, going up to Jeff Jordan's and the St. Paris Graham kids. And I realized that, you know what, even if you're a really good coach, if you kind of stay insulated, it's tough to grow and get better. You almost put a cap on yourself. And so we realized getting the best kids together to help each other grow was the way to do it. And so we started, I can remember back in those days, Max Andreoni from Woodford County, Casey Cornett, Trent Johnson, Smallwood. I was just a bunch of those guys, Tylen Tucker, that would come up, and we would just get a bunch of the best guys in the state together and just run practices. So that was kind of the beginning of it. And then when in 2018, when Mason graduated, Brandon moved to Florida, and we kind of relocated all the stuff to my house here. And it's been running full go ever since. And it's kind of the same thing that, I think when my whole thought process in coaching is go back to, I mentioned at the beginning, I was never a state champ. I was okay. I was just one of those tough guys, probably not the best technical wrestler, wrestled really hard. But that pain that I felt that last night in the hotel and not wanting to go back the second day, that's kind of what I coach with. I think about that all the time. I don't want any of the kids that I coach to ever have to feel that frustration and that pain that I went through. And so that's kind of my goal is whatever the kids, if they want to be a state champ or if they just want to make the state tournament, I just want to do everything I can to try to prevent them from falling short. And so that's been it. Whatever we can do here, bring in the best guys possible to help people keep getting better and keep learning and growing. That's kind of been the thought process. And one little tweak, and let's kind of get into some of the videos we're going to review, is at some point when Ryan was in high school and he was just starting to touch on the national rankings, and he would kind of pop in the top 20 here and there. And you probably, I don't know if you've done any reviews with Nathan Boston, his dad, Rob.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've done both of Nathan's.
Yeah. So his dad, Rob, had a club going down in Louisville, it was ETC. And one of the things that he really made me think differently about training, especially the guys that have high goals, is, you know what, we can't set our goal as a state champion. We've got to start training to be better than that. We've got to train to be the best in the country. And if you fall short of that, state championship just kind of happens by default. Mm-hmm. And that really started to come through with Spencer's group, and kind of changed with COVID and Spencer's focus was like, all right, yeah, we're not state championships are just kind of a byproduct. We're trying to beat the best guys in the country. And so that was kind of where we really started changing the way we train.
Man, that's an excellent point. And of course, those that don't know Nathan Boston, his review videos are on the channel. Two-time state champion in Kentucky, Indiana state champion before he come to Kentucky. He was ranked number one in the country in 2014. Think about that. Number one in the country in 2014. And I've gone on, not just me, but everybody's gone on record. That 2014 year, that was the best state finals in history. Brock, Nathan, Austin Myers, Brandon Johnson from Dixie Heights, rest in peace to Bryce Schaefer. Some guy named David Carr was in there in the mix. Sean Fowles. I mean, just an absolute not the best. It's the best state finals lineup that Kentucky's ever seen. So that's a great mentality. Is yeah, we can compete, and that's something other wrestlers have said that has been to your barn or trained in your barn or from across the state, maybe travel team with you, is Kentucky can compete at the national level. I mean, look at Jackson Wells. Look what he done this past year in Virginia Beach. I mean, look at all these taking to the Heartland duels and all these tournaments people are going to. I mean, Kentucky, that's one thing about the channel is we've had great wrestling in Kentucky. It's just been hid for far too long. Now people are starting to see it and are starting to realize it. Now, of course, this is a coaching perspective video. I kind of put out to you, hey, which one of your kids' matches do you want to review? I thought it would be best it being, one of yours. Kind of, you can be a little bit harder on your own than you can anybody else. But you chose something that was a non-state championship match. So set the scene for us. What are we getting ready to watch here?
Well, going into, well, I'm going to take actually an extra step back. We went through COVID, right? I have to bring up that bad word. But where we really changed the way we were training here in the barn. So I still, Ryan was doing some individuals. Braden Giannone, I don't know if you've been able to do his video or not. Since there was no practice going on, Braden had come up a little bit, and his dad reached out and said, "Hey, can Ryan keep doing individuals with Braden?" And so Braden was coming up on a regular basis, and him and Ryan were just rolling around. And one day I work from home full time, so I'm just working away. And Ryan texted me, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, can you come down? We have a question." And they were working in some random position and was asking my input. And I was like, you know what? You guys are pretty good wrestlers. You don't need me to tell you how to solve this problem. And so, and I recently actually heard an interview with Ben Askren, and the way he kind of looks at wrestling, describes it, is it's a constant process of problem solving, which goes right into my analytical mind, right? As because you can drill moves or whatever, but once you get in a live match, all bets are off. You're in weird positions and nothing is perfect. So you're constantly having to evaluate and figure out a problem. And so, and I was actually just talking to the kids about it tonight at our practice that, I don't like to sit and just teach moves as much anymore, but more just kind of talk through positions and say, you know what? I can show you this is the step-by-step how to do a high crotch, but in reality, it's never going to work that way. There's so many variables. You've got to just figure out how to wrestle in this position. And so we started looking at things a lot different from that point on. And so we just started spending more time just really problem-solving positions and how to, what position am I not good at and how do I get better at it? And so we're going along and starting to, and Ryan had a little bit of success in freestyle. He was a couple-time All-American with Fargo and the cadet world team trials. But in general, Kentucky hasn't had a lot of freestyle success. Mm-hmm. We're starting to get a little more momentum. The Rainy boys are kicking butt. Yeah. But there's just not a lot of opportunity to train and learn it. So it makes it tough. But Spencer had come to me right before his senior year, and he was like, "All right, Dad, I want to be number one in the country. That's my goal." And I'm like, "All right, so here's what we're going to do." And so we set out a plan, and we were training for different things, getting ready for Super 32. And he had the opportunity, and he wrestled. We actually got on a dual team. Um, uh, Went down to Georgia for some duels. He got to wrestle like number 1 and 2 guys in the country. Had some close losses, and so all that he wrestled a bunch of really good guys, and ended up, like I said, about 4th in the country through all that. And then right at the end of his senior year, it's like, you know what? Let's go to the since he graduated early, he's still only 17. He's like, let's go to the U17 World Team Trials and let's see what happens. And was in just a killer bracket. We didn't think he had any chance of winning it. Definitely, I was hoping he would place. We spent a lot of time. Isaac Thornton was an amazing training partner, and had Ryan down here doing a lot of the individual training too, and just perfect preparation. And we'll see in the video also another Thomas More wrestler, Wilder Wickman. He's a Askren guy. I think he's actually running one of Ben's clubs up in Wisconsin right now. And so we just spent a bunch of time preparing and said, you know what, we're going to go up to Wisconsin, see what happens. They did it in Wisconsin Dells that year. And just go see what we can do in some freestyle. And here we go.
And this is a best of 3, correct?
Yes, he made the and once you get to the 2 finalists, they do a best 2 out of 3 to see who's going to be on the world team.
All right. So, and of course, we have all 3 videos, and we're going to have you know way more about this, what you're going through, and that's kind of the whole point, is to get your coaching, I guess, dad and coaching 50-50 perspective. That way you can pass your knowledge on. So we're going to pull up the first match video here. And of course, the mat looks a little different than what a normal folk style mat does, but nevertheless, it's still pretty close to the same dimensions. And we are going to hit play, and we're going to let Jason take over.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the bracket here recently, or here last night, and he didn't get any favors in the draw. Coming through the bracket, his first round match was against the 8th seed. He teched that guy 10-0. Next round, he hit the 9 seed, teched that guy 10-0. Then in the quarters, he had the 1 seed.
Okay.
Wow. Teched him 12-2. Got into the semis. And had a tough Fargo champ. Cale Hughes wrestles for Oklahoma State now. That's an amazing match. If you want to look one up, was down 6-0 with 30 seconds to go.
Wow.
Gets in on a good shot, catches a leg lace, and ends up winning 6-6.
Wow. My goodness. Now, of course,
to set up this here.
I was going to say, for those that don't know, Spencer is in the white singlet.
Ooh.
And the young guy he's wrestling here, who is this?
Great attack from him.
Cale Lardson. He is. He'll probably be Nebraska's 125-pounder this year. Tough guy here. He came out attacking, got the step out point. One of the things we're going to see in this match, in this whole series, Spencer, most of his wrestling in high school, he could be pretty aggressive and put up points. And, as you've done his reviews, pinned a lot of guys at the state tournament. But giving up his legs again here. I think he's going to give up another step out. Yeah. Falls behind 2-0 on a couple step out points. But he was getting really good with his defense in freestyle. And a lot of those techs that I mentioned earlier were him scoring defensive points. And so I was getting a little frustrated that he was being kind of passive and letting guys get to his legs. And here, Lardson did a good job of avoiding Spencer's defense. He was getting to his legs and getting up to his feet so that Spencer couldn't use his defense. Now here we go, getting to underhook and him starting to control the position. See, he's trying to get. Yeah, a lot of his defense comes off this front headlock. If you're not real familiar with freestyle, you expose your back, you give up some points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he's trying to just get like a little. It's called a head pinch, and just expose. Couldn't get it. So yeah, it's me over in the corner and Wilder Wickman. He was a wrestler at Thomas More. Ryan's back there somewhere hiding in the corner.
Whenever I was pulling this video off, I was like, I don't think that is Ryan. So I'm glad you were able to kind of clear the air on that one.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure we were probably getting on him to get on his offense. Yeah.
Now, for those that aren't familiar with wrestling, we hear a lot of coaches say that in the corner or say that in social media videos. You hear me get to your offense. To the people that maybe aren't familiar with that, what are you meaning by that?
Oh, got behind, and there's.
They're gonna let him work for the finish. They're gonna go 2-1.
That's a little different position there in freestyle, or if you get in a quad pod, both hands, both knees. Even if you're completely behind, that's not a takedown yet. So he just got 1 point for a step out. But yeah, getting to his offense, and actually it's something I still have to. I'll poke at Spencer even in college now these days. I try to just sit back and be a dad and enjoy watching most of his college wrestling now. He's got coaches a lot better than me in his corner, but he's really good at getting control ties, his 2-on-1, get to an underhook. But obviously those D1 wrestlers are pretty darn good. So it doesn't pull the trigger as much as I would like. But here, I felt like he was the better wrestler. He needed to get to some leg attacks, create some action, even if it's not a perfect shot, just get to some action happening. And I felt like he was going to win if there was wrestling happening.
I understand.
So here he is back in that front headlock position.
Spencer Moore, by the way, number 5 in the country. Oh, wow. And now stepping around, but Lord, he can scramble. Nothing yet. Now Moore hanging tough, winds up with a single leg.
He done a really good job right there, not giving anything up.
Bouncing 50 seconds to go, and that's going to be 2. Huge takedown for Spencer Moore.
There we go. So got the 3-2 lead, 49 seconds.
This bracket, by the way, was incredibly loaded. So, yeah, this.
And you hear the announcer say this bracket was incredibly loaded. So,
wow.
Yeah, there were so many good kids that didn't make this match. This is a tough position. There's, folk style. Sometimes you can just drop in on a leg and just hold on and watch the clock run out. Oh, that's another kind of weird phenomenon of freestyle. They call it a slip throw. So Spencer's in a good position. The kid just kind of did a Hail Mary headlock. He didn't get it, so they called it a slip. Sometimes in folk style, you can just get a hold of a leg and just kind of hold on and watch the clock run out.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a good example of why you can't do that in freestyle. Spencer could just watch the last 5 seconds run out, but he drops down to this leg and he's trying to just kind of hold on. And he gets right at the buzzer.
I think he got it at the end.
Gets turned just a little bit and gives up 2.
And of course, there your corner throws the block.
They're gonna look at the clock. I also wonder.
I guess you're going over, or you're challenging the exposure there.
Yeah. I was hoping time was up because it was really close.
Doesn't matter the clock, but I think he had it in time too.
But I think he did give it up right at the buzzer. So, had the 3-2 lead, ends up giving it up, loses 4-3 in this first match.
And that's why wrestlers, you don't stop wrestling till you hear the whistle.
Yeah, I mean, a couple different things. One, he didn't need to take that shot with 5 seconds to go, or two, if you're going to take the shot, finish it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Can't just
And
kind of halfway wrestle that position.
Hang it out.
all right,
It's one of the
so
things my wife
that's
hates about
where
freestyle. It's not over till it's over.
ends. So go ahead, Jason. Give us your thoughts there.
Um, well, we kind of went from, all excitement. It's like, man, we're just come to this tournament hoping to make, just get on the podium. Now we're in the finals and all excited. And again, I thought he was the better wrestler going in because Lauritsen had picked off a couple guys on the way. Actually, I think he may have even beaten a guy that's going to be Spencer's teammate at Illinois, Cannon Webster. So he beat a lot of guys that we thought were going to be bigger challengers. So it's like, all right, we can win this match. We're the better wrestler. We just got to wrestle. Now we're down one and got to win 2 matches in a row to win this bracket. That's tough.
So being dad, being coach, what do you tell him after that match ends?
Again, to just get to his offense and let him control where they're wrestling. He's as the one flurry where he got the 2-point takedown, that scramble. He kind of controlled where that scramble is taking place. If you sit back and I let the guy get on my legs, he's kind of dictating what kind of scramble we're going to have. Where if I'm the one taking the shot, I can kind of control what the scramble is going to look like. And so that's what I was hoping for him to get to some leg attacks and kind of control what kind of scrambles we're going to have.
I understand now. Of course, like I said, that was video number 1. Let's get ready to watch video number 2 here. All right, so this is match number 2 in the best of 3 series. And I believe you guys, is it always standard practice to like swap corners in freestyle, like swap from blue to red?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're going to just go right into it, man. Let's go.
Yes, got to come back now and got to win 2 in a row. And I think, as I recall, this one starts off a little slow, similar to the last one. But I think pretty quickly into this one, a switch gets flipped for both guys. You see a lot more scoring in this match. I think both trying to take control and kind of take the upper hand in the series.
Okay, so after the first match, do you kind of game plan something differently? Or is it you got to go out there and take this, or let's not try this, or let's, he's weak here, let's try this?
Definitely was to being a little more prepared for this guy to come with some offense. He wasn't just going to stand around. He's taking shots, trying to get the legs, and not let Spencer to wait on defense. Right, yeah. See right there, it's already Spencer in on a good high crotch. They called him for passive right before that, but you can see, yeah, he's already starting to get a little more aggressive, try to get some leg attacks. I felt like that was definitely our path to victory, was to get to the legs and control what's going on.
Yeah.
There's 107. He's going to go on the clock.
I think he got put on the shot clock here. Yeah. He didn't have any activity for the first minute, so Spencer's on the shot clock. He's got 30 seconds to score.
Was in on a shot when he got Warren. Nice little duck there. Lauritsen.
That's a good duck under.
Now he comes up around the body.
Oh,
I don't know what that's going to be.
One on the step out is now one blue.
Now, fans, I am not a freestyle official. I have no. That's why I'm not really commenting. So
There's a lot of
More might have been
like that step out right there. Could have been either one that stepped out,
5 to go.
and it's
mhm,
just what
More trying to
a
get
lot of like questionable, just what they happen to see.
over under, but
I
Lawson
understand.
takes it.
And I believe
Two, I don't
offered.
correct throw. One offered and one confirmed. So 2-0.
I was gonna say I thought he scored again right there. His opponent.
Two.
Yep. So they yeah, he got another step out there, went for that arm spin. Yeah, this guy's just he's staying on the attack and kind of keeping Spencer off balance, not giving him a chance to get his offense going.
Mm-hmm.
Good head position though for Moore, and that'll do it.
Yeah, so similar. I think
Has the lead.
first match was maybe 2-0 right at the beginning, first period. So kind of the same thing. It's like, you know what, you got to start scoring some points,
I mean,
or this is going to be over with real quick.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be happy as a runner up.
to be involved it was tough, but I mean, this is a weight to
You got 2 minutes
Gibson.
to make some stuff happen.
Number of other really tough guys. Cannon, Webster. I mean,
He's tough.
Logan.
And these U17 4-minute matches just seem to go so fast.
Yes.
There we go, right in on a shot.
Chest wrap position here.
He's really good in this position. He's good at getting up to his feet. Boom, 4-point throw.
Confirmed. He got standing with him.
Freestyle, you go feet to back. It's 4 points.
Yep. I do know that
Criteria
because
on
Garrett,
one move.
Garrett Pickle.
That was Kentucky Extreme, if you ask me.
It was, yeah, undeniably Kentucky Extreme.
So since he had that 4-point move, it's tied up 4-4. But Spencer has the lead on that 4-point criteria.
Yep.
Snap and single for Lordson. He knows he's losing, minute 20. Now how's he going to try to finish this?
And
Foot now. More in on the
he's Spencer. I mean, you can tell the folk style blood is deep on him because he circles around and he's got that leg like a single. But you can tell he was going for it again, going for that
I thought it was.
I don't know what the exact name of that throw is. Now, whenever they throw the brick here, do you get to coach him?
Yeah, we're talking over on the side. And, again, just here's another situation where he once he got to the leg here, he got a 4-pointer out of that when I think as they went out of bounds, Lardson tried to do a defensive throw. Spencer caught him on his back. So now he's got 2 4-pointers in the bank. So I think they review this and no change. So now also we can kind of have the discussion about, all right, you got the lead and there's less than a minute again. All right, so you gotta wrestle a little smarter. You did the first match. If you're gonna take a shot, let's finish it, not just hold on the leg.
Now he got an
So now
additional point right there. What was that additional point for?
for a failed challenge.
Oh, okay.
That's one thing I do like. In college, you do the challenge, and it's kind of no harm, no foul.
Mm-hmm.
In freestyle, if you challenge and you are wrong, or you don't win the challenge, then the other person gets a point.
I like that.
So you
That
kind
would
of have
stop
to
a
be,
lot of it unnecessarily.
yeah, you got to be a little more strategic, especially in tight matches. Yeah, and so now tell he's going to be a little smarter, just kind of hand fight, hold position.
Ooh, there's a shot. Ooh, just kind of pulls that wrist. Just more. 30 seconds.
Dig that underhook in, just kind of hang it.
Right side.
Underhook, good head position.
Solid positioning here for Moore.
he's in a good spot with 10 seconds to go, and there's the takedown.
And he gets I believe that's a 2-point takedown, correct?
Takedown. Yeah.
He's gonna win here,
And you saw you saw the official use their thumb. That's
for a third match in this
that's something we don't do in folk style.
that's gonna do it.
Garrett's done it a time or two in matches by accident.
I can see that.
Yep. Okay, so
Yeah,
now we're tied 1-1. So, like I said, we're tied 1-1. Whatever you told him, it worked because he had a very decisive victory in that match. So when we go into this tiebreaker, if you will, what's the message to him? Keep doing what we're doing, or how's it go?
Yeah, keep doing that same thing. If he gets into the leg, we know he can score. So let's make sure we're the ones in on the legs and not playing defense.
Now, this is the third match in the best of three. Like I said, we're tied up 1-1. This is for the 17U freestyle. What's the exact name, Jason?
This would be the national championship and qualify for the world team.
All right. So a lot on the line here, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Spencer's already graduated high school. The next stop is North Carolina, but he wanted that #1 ranking, correct?
He did.
And earlier in the video, I believe they said he was. I'm not sure if it was their rankings or whichever rankings they were using, but I think they said he was 5th. Does that sound right?
5th at that time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, pretty big match coming up. Being dad and being coach, do you let him have his own space? Do you just kind of let him do his own thing, or do you know him well enough to be like, all right, let's, do you work out with him, or how's it go?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. So Isaac Thornton was there with us as well, and so he had a good partner to get a good. If he wanted to get some drilling in, or work on any positions, they went and worked on stuff. And I did kind of stay away, and I think Ryan and Wilder had some little coaching moments with him, but I was able to just kind of sit back and be nervous and take it in.
I understand. All right, man, here we go.
Greco and freestyle finals. She's give us all the down low if you're not watching.
Now, of course, I think, he's back to the red side there in the white singlet with the red trim.
I think this official tries to even make it more nerve-wracking on me, and he decides he only wants one in the corner at some point here.
Lordson took match 1, more match 2.
For what? I'm not sure why.
Third and final. Underhook left side for Lordson. Head position though for Moore, but doesn't stop Lordson.
Now he does a really good job.
But having a hard time with the finish so far. He's still in good position.
Spencer, that is.
Gonna get at least one, and just a one.
I was gonna say that as deep as that shot was right there, and only giving up that one step out, he done an excellent job right there.
Both these guys with good attacks and really solid.
Yeah, he really felt confident in his defense.
It's a fun 3.
That just sometimes made it tougher to convince him to, get on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
There by Lordson.
And which we'll talk a little bit after. That's a thought for another after this is over with.
They're gonna hit. There's
Getting good underhooks. They go down the mats. They're calling it grounded. So no step out there.
Grounded, white paddled.
Mm-hmm.
45 to go.
Underhook for Lordson.
I think here soon.
But not able to convert. 33 seconds to go.
This may be a good little lead in a couple weeks. We're getting ready to have the world team trials for the senior world team in Louisville.
Yep. Garrett Pickle mentioned that in his officials perspective video we done just the other day. So looking forward to that.
It looked like he was going to take a shot. Fires off another one. Does Morris trying to get in? It goes reshot now to
Good
a
fireman's carry.
4 offered
And
4
4
confirmed.
Now he gets his 4 right there. Time goes out. They throw the block. What are they throwing the block for?
the challenges was 2 instead of 4.
I think they were challenging.
It looked like 2 to me.
Although seeing that
Not the elevation.
series happen, they gave Spencer a 4-pointer for that fireman's carry.
Hmm.
4. Yeah.
And so they're challenging if it should have been 4 or 2. Fireman's carries are kind of iffy, depending on how the defender kind of goes down to his knee. Sometimes you won't get 4, sometimes you will. But he followed that up with a little almost like lace kind of motion, and I thought he exposed him a second time. So I thought the score probably should have been 6-1. And I think they actually go back and change it to 2-1. Only give him a takedown on it, not the 4-point takedown.
He's going to challenge. So.
Feet to back.
Okay, so it's in between the periods here, the challenge and the break and all that. What's the message? What's the coaching tips here?
Not a lot different. I mean, we've had a lot of time to coach throughout between the matches and stuff, but I think again, that just showed he attacked at the end of that period and he scored. And so just to keep going out and trying to score points. If he does, he's going to win this match if he keeps scoring points.
Give us all the down low if you're not watching that.
Now, while we're in a little bit of a lull, watching the first one, like I can only think of 2 times I ever seen Spencer get beat. One was against Cole Thomas in the 2019 state finals, and then this one. And I was like, "Whoa, this is rare." And of course, this past year, the ACC network aired a lot of duels, and every time North Carolina would wrestle on the duels or whatever time it was on, I'd always try to, watch it or watch the replay, watch Spencer's match. I was like, it was like I was, had money on it. Yeah, come on, Spencer, what are you doing? Especially, the NCAA tournament, forget it. When he was wrestling,
Good challenge.
I was pretty much, I felt like I was a journalist there on the floor. I was posting stuff on social media updates and all that. I was him and Stephen Little both.
Second period or first period break.
Oh yeah, Stephen, he's a monster.
The lead, so great brick by the blue corner.
Stephen Little's one of those 1990s tough guys.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a good way to put it.
Also, if it comes down to criteria.
All right, so we got 2 points taken off the board for a challenge. Did that seem to affect, did it kind of, oh man, what are you doing to me, Rev? Or was he just business as usual? Or
no, let's just go back and get those points back. No big deal.
Seconds to go.
So yeah, I think that's one of the things. The freestyle, the officials are going to be a little more involved with the passivity calls and things, and you think they stepped out and they call you on the step out. So you gotta. I think freestyle definitely teaches you to not let the referees get to you too much, because most matches there's a good chance there's going to be a call you don't like.
all right, so the ref come over. He said, "All right, one in the corner, and you kind of take the step back." I'm sure that probably wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a distraction, so I figured I'll just move here off the mat. No big deal.
We'll have to get our resident freestyle expert, Garrett Pickle, to explain the rules to us on that one.
Pass by attempt from Lordson. It's not there, though. 50 seconds remaining.
So under a minute.
360 for Lordson. He's in. Not super deep.
And I think if I'd been able to sit through this match after watching Spencer in college a couple years, where he's
Excited for this next
just
30.
his hand fighting is so good and he's so tough. It just
And good.
turned it into a street fight sometimes.
Got a
I probably wouldn't have been too nervous, but at this point,
more.
I was pretty nervous here. It's like, all right, just a 1 point match. Anything can happen here. This guy's
Down.
he's had some really good attacks, a couple good duck unders. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't know what's going to happen, even down to the very last second.
Lordson's
You get any kind of a step out, anything.
time short, but Moore doing a good job burying that head, and we've got a headlock as
Mm,
time expires.
That's no points there on the slip, and I believe time was up.
Great series
And
for Lordson.
man, he comes away with the win. Spencer wins 2-1.
Impressive weekend for him.
And they're both tough. But Moore,
The
Yes,
17U.
2-1 final, nip and tuck.
three really different matches.
Yep.
One of the
Um,
brackets this weekend.
And there he is.
Man, great performance.
There's, I believe, Ryan.
He's tough.
So, man, like you said, 3 different matches, even though it is freestyle a little bit different than what we are used to seeing on the channel, folk style. Matter of fact, that is our first freestyle match. But the coaching points remain the same. Get to what you know, right? If you're,
Yes.
well, give us your coaching tips from that match, or those 3 matches, I should say.
One, trust your preparation and the work you've put in. Because I mean, especially you get to a match like that, it's generally not by accident. So you've done a lot of things right to get ready, and you've earned the right to be there. So it doesn't matter who you're wrestling. I think we had a really good example of it this year in our state tournament. Probably a lot of guys walk on the mat with the Rainey brothers, and they just assume they're going to get pinned. And I think both guys, but definitely Landon Evans went out there, I think, expecting that he could win that match. And he went out to score some points and wrestle. And so that's what you got to do. No matter who you're going against, you just got to go and, like you said, do what you're good at and go win the match. And I mean, it's a wrestling match. Anything can happen. Both guys had to tie their shoes, put the shoes on, their singlet on. As good as there are some really good wrestlers out there, but they can all be beat. So,
and I think one of the
You might as well
loudest
be the one
moments that I've got to experience myself at the state tournament, I've been to, I don't know how many now, but I think one of the loudest moments is whenever Landon lifted Jordan up for that mat return. I mean, that was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, anything can happen. Now, how for those that don't know, how did Spencer finish there at the World Team when he went to the Worlds? How did that go?
It was just an awesome experience of, just the training and opportunities. I pulled out some of from some of the camps. We're working on some leg laces tonight, and just the one-on-one attention you get with some of those things is amazing. But went to Budapest, and one of the things that happens a lot, it used to happen all the time with U.S. guys, with the repechage system and freestyle is you can go 0-1 because the guy you lose to has to make the finals. And so Spencer hand fought as a guy from Armenia, and he pulled and tugged and wore this guy down, and gave up a little gator roll and lost a close one in the first round. And then that kid came out his next match and just completely ran out of gas. He didn't have anything left. And so he was winning the match and ended up getting pinned. And so once the guy that you lose to loses, you're done.
Yeah.
So it was 0-1, but awesome experience.
I understand. And like I said, great coaching perspective to have on the channel. We know a lot of people are going to watch this and pick up from you and be able to take it back to their team or their club or even their own kids there, work with them at their house. And even if it's just a few little things they pick up, I mean, that is very, very valuable knowledge. And, like we said earlier in this video, it's the 22nd of April. It was announced today that Keegan Duncan was selected. Coach Roth, gets to ride off into the sunset, if you will, in retirement. So you got yourself coaching the girls, Keegan coaching the boys. Walton-Verona's in good hands. The only person from
Definitely.
Walton-Verona that we're missing to do their state championship review video is Lane Jones. So Lane, man, come on. You got to get with me. Every other Bearcats represented. We got to get you on there. Jason, man, we've been talking and going back and forth. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to bring up or share or anything like that? Man, feel free to let it go. The floor is yours.
I don't know, just the last couple thoughts, and we've had so many just amazing, really good kids. I think that's been the most consistent thing. And I see it, the way I see it play out a lot of times too is, it confirms how good the kids are, not just wrestlers, but the people. When I see them coming in and we have some younger elementary or middle school kids come in and just on their own, some of these really good high school kids are helping a young kid out with something before practice, after practice, not because I've said, hey, will you work with this kid? But because they just want to help the next generation out. We've had a ton of those through the years. One that comes to mind, like Zach Cowan that you've talked to, and just amazing kids. We've been blessed with a ton of those that have made it not just great wrestling around the barn here, but just amazing friendships and brotherhood, and a lot of good dads. We haven't had as many dads hang out for a number of years. We've had a lot of just really good guys just hang out and just enjoy watching the kids scrap.
Yeah.
And then last thing, amazing wife that has made this easy and fun through the years. Being a crazy dad and wrestling coach is stressful and hard enough. If you have to go home and a wife that doesn't understand that, yep, I'm gonna be in a gym all day on Saturday and leave at 5 in the morning, not get back till midnight.
Yeah.
And so a wife that's been very supportive of that and supporting the kids and in their journey as well has been amazing. And although I think she's probably ready for it to be just about over. It's been a lot of years of hours in gyms, but I'm sure she's going to be missing it and probably be glad when we get grandkids doing it one of these days.
I can see who Darren Thomas posted a photo. I think one of his grandkids started wrestling this year, and he posted a photo of like a youth meet, and he said, "I'm starting over." And I was like, "Yep." Of all the times he's put in, so man, that's the way it usually goes. Is wrestlers, most of the time become dads, then they let their kids come through, then they get right back into it as grandpas, and so that's just keeping the tradition going in the family, keeping the barn going, man. Like I said, we've got so many guys that have talked about going up there with you, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more come through. You got the Team Kentucky Extreme banner behind you. How just you don't have to give an exact number, but how many state champions you think have come through there in your tenure?
Oh man.
More than 10, more than 15, more than 20?
If you count, I don't know. One of the things I struggle with is I don't like to take credit for kids because there's there's going to be kids that just kind of come occasionally. The kids I would say that were here a lot, yeah, definitely 15 or 20. And there's kids like I know you just watched your video with Ethan Davis,
Yep.
and that's somebody that was here just feels like night and day for the last 4 years, and put in a lot of time and effort. Zach came all the way up from Richmond. Zach Cowan, for year after year after year. And so, yeah, there's some guys like that definitely feel like they were part of the family. That definitely, it was awesome to see get that ultimate success in the end.
Absolutely, man. Well, buddy, I believe we've talked enough. We've covered, I think, just about everything I know I had on my notes. Yeah, every single thing I had a complete laundry list of stuff, and we've hit every single one of them. So I think we've reached a great ending point. Thank you for doing this, Jason, man. You're one of
Yeah,
my
thank
you're one of my I guess people I can reach out to. Hey, I'm putting together a top 14 list. Who would you take off? Who would you add? Do you think Matt Shotwell is weak? All this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Matt. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But man, no, for real. Thank you for doing this. I know people are going to enjoy it, and it's good to get some of the coaches that people have been seeing around, heard the stories about, especially with the rankings and all that. Finally, get the true story, have a place to get it straight from the source. It's not hearsay or none of that. It's straight from you. So it's great to get to do that, and the knowledge you've been able to give us here today in this review video. So, man, I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. We will see you guys and girls on the mats.